Alright, hello. This is a marathon submission for Switch 2 Welcome Tour. This is 150 medals NG+. What we're doing here is basically the game, it was marketed really poorly. It basically looked like, at first, it was a tech demo to show off the different hardware of the console and stuff like that. And that's exactly what we've done, offline. But what we're going to do is now we've unlocked all the mini games in all the different areas, we are going to show those off and all the demos as well. We have a bunch of different demos in here, and we're going to show off pretty much every minigame this game has to offer. And we're also going to be getting most of the medals. Now, every game has 2 medals, but there is a super secret 3rd medal as well in these minigames, and we will need pretty much all of them to obtain 150 medals in the run. So we're going to go for that. Hopefully, this goes okay. So we're going to start with spike balls. And here we're going to need 50 seconds, so time will start there. So, essentially, Spike Balls is the first mini game you see in here. This is honestly one of my favourites as well. This game peaks very early. To be fair, there are some other games later. We got heat maps in Feel the Shape. We have the circle tool for Guess the Rumble. We have cheats in Guess the Rumble 1 where you don't even need a cheat tool. You can just calculate the distance. We will not have much of a wait at all to see that, actually. But yeah, this is Spike Balls. Basically, we have different cycles and stuff here. I will just need to make sure I try and get out of here. It's a bit RNG. But worst case scenario, if we don't get 3 medals, we can just come back later. And see how the other games go. Just do a little bit of cleanup at the end. There we go. So, yeah, basically there are a bunch of different cycles. You get just random balls thrown at you. You also get an angled ball that comes at you depending on where you are. So it's pretty much OP to camp the left and right far sides. But you don't want to do that all the time, because then if you get stuck with a bunch of angled balls coming towards you, you have no get out but to go the opposite way, because, you know, the other way is a wall. So it kind of limits your options. You then have the green ones that you can dodge by hugging the walls. And then you also get, like, the big ones that home in on where you are. So, yeah, IELTS of that game can actually go on for a really long time. My PB is over 2 minutes 10. And world record is no more than 2 minutes 20 as of recording. So it's pretty difficult, especially after 2 minutes. It gets pretty hectic. The red balls start coming in, and then that's when the game gets really tricky. So we now have a similar game, Catch the Stars. So we are going to go for 60. There is a cycle skip here. It's very tricky. We're probably already missing it. It's very, very tough. We got really, really bad RNG here. Honestly, 54 with that RNG is really nice. A lot of those stars were not in good spots. So that's our 60, and that is it. Yo, Catherine, how's it going? Great question. Yes, 150 medals is most mini-games. It is... So, the game has 167 medals. I am locked out of 9 of them. Because I don't have a GLGR controller. That is either a Pro controller, or it is a Joy-Con charging grip, which is a slightly cheaper way of getting one. So that is in actual runs of this game, like 100 medals. That is the inferior route anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. Also, thanks for the good lucks, everyone. By the way, before we get into this, 7 big lines, 1 small line, and a couple of pixels, and that is the distance between the start and the end. So we're going to go -2. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Go back. And we're going to activate it here. And we're going to be spot on, thankfully. You can get within 3 pixels to get 3 medals there, but it is a really, really easy one if you know how to do it. But yeah, not too bad. So yeah, we're going to see pretty much every minigame. There are a few that are really, really tough to get 2 or 3 medals in. The biggest culprit is Rumble 3. So these do have cheats, but the last one is still ridiculous because the medal requirements are 30 away, 10 away, or 1 pixel away. There is one person I know of that has it on the speedrun leaderboard. Everyone else has not submitted a run of it. So it's really, really tricky. So pretty much, yeah, we're playing all the mini games, and then there are a few that are really, really tricky. So we're just gonna we're just gonna have to play even better in the ones that aren't tricky. Basically, we need all the super secret third medals that are reasonable. So what I'm using now is a little cheat tool that is a circle. So the radius of the circle is actually the line from the previous one. So it's 399 pixels, and that is how big the distance is between the weakest and the strongest rumble in the previous one. And you can use a similar idea in this version. So what we want to do is just try and find the dead zones, try and map out a few different points. We obviously can't use the top one because it's at the top. So we're going to go there. Oh, slightly far away, that's fine. We're going to go one more. We're going to go again, see if we can get 3 medals. It's once again 3 pixels for this one. So I'm trying to find an edge. That is how we're trying to start off here. Yeah, so we're going to be playing all the games that don't require the GLGR. We are going to be playing the camera game, much to your delight, even though it's incredibly slow. It is also incredibly funny, and this is a marathon submission. This is not a real category, so, well, at the moment, anyway. Maybe it will become a category. I think it's honestly a interesting one. But yeah, the camera game will be in here because I have access to it, and if I don't play it, then I'm going to be locked out of even more medals, which would be bad. So yeah, that is way further on than I thought. So we're going to have to go like there. Hopefully this is closer. This is a bit tricky, you know. So yeah, you get very weak rumble at the top. Hopefully you won't spend too long on these games because you can't really see how I'm doing. Thank you for the 7 watch streak, by the way, Catherine. Yeah, I'm really struggling here, to be honest. Because that is a dead zone. Yeah, that's a dead zone there. Like, it's a full circle. The circle it shows you at the end is the correct area. I'm hoping, because I've spent a bit more time on it this time, we're going to get it. There we go, should be it. 2 pixels away, nice. Took a few minutes, but we got there in the end. And we can use a similar thing for the last version, but there are false positives on the last version, and that is the problem. The false positives basically mean there is a circle, but there are also other circles that don't have as strong rumble. And so it's just really tricky. You pretty much have to work backwards to try and work out the right ones. It's really bad. Yeah, so on top of all the mini-games in here, we will also be playing all the demos as well. Because if you don't play demos, then you pretty much have to get every medal in the game. And again, I'm locked out of Pro Controller medals. So this is Speed Maze. We have a 1.8 seconds for this. Almost. Wow. Oh, come on. I can't do a straight line at the end. Okay. Yeah, this is really, really tricky. The mouse controls are very, very sensitive. Come on. This is for 3 medals as well. There we go. Nice. So there was a time where this took me a very, very long time to get through. But with a bit of practice, you do get used to the mouse controls in the end. And I guess that is another option of this run. We can sort of have an extra camera to have hand cam for this, which can be pretty interesting because a lot of these games are mouse based. A lot of them are rumble based as well, and I will try and hold the controller close to the microphone when I can so you can roughly hear what's going on. But yeah, it's pretty much We Play 3. I've run We Play for a long time as well, and this is 2.5 seconds for 3 medals. But I've run We Play for a long time, and it's very similar in DNA to a Wii Play game. Lots of mini games in here, all kind of separate from each other. So you want to kind of do like a smooth curve motion in the middle. Yeah, a bit too slow there. Taking a while here. Ooh. Nice. Perfect line at the end. Okay, so those are Speed Maze 1 and 2. It's pretty much just an electric maze. If you hit the edge, then you lose. There are 2 others later. Very tricky, actually, and those are kind of earmarked as games that I might miss a medal in. Hopefully we don't, because they are nice to have as backups. But we'll see how it goes. And next, one of my personal favourites is actually the first game that I saw when they first started showing off this game. And they kind of showed off like the tech demo side, and then they showed off Speed Golf, and I thought, hang on a minute. You know, as a Wii Series runner, this definitely looks more Wii Series coded than tech demo, in a way. Even though they're kind of, you know, the same thing. But that was very close to a backup. I'm very surprised that didn't go straight in the hole. 2.5 seconds for 3 medals here. So you pretty much just want to do... There you go. Yeah, so that is actually tied world record, IL. Very, very easy one to tie the world record for, because it's a one-shot, straight in. And then this one is actually a trickier one-shot. It is possible to one-shot here. It's another 2.5 second mini-game for 3 medals. However, there is a one-shot. Even though... technically, you shouldn't really be able to, because you're kind of cutting the edge. And the moment you fall off the edge, you fall very quickly. So what we're going to try and do is cut the edge here and try it so the ball... yeah, very similar to that. So the ball goes straight into a line where the hole is. There we go. Almost. Yeah, you want to just, like, clip the edge just enough. And I do actually have a button remapped because it's actually plus to try again. So I'm using the right-hand controller to play the game, but I also have to use the right-hand plus button to try again, which is obviously very awkward. So to counteract that, I've actually remapped my buttons on my console. So I have left mapped as a second plus button. Things we do for time save. Yeah, unfortunately, there's not enough time to retry here. I can try the normal way. Yeah, it's just slightly too difficult to get 2.5 seconds. You can't do a shot straight away. There's basically no leniency to do this. That's not going to work. There we go. So that's the other way. We can do it intended. We can play the game properly. It's fine. So next up is Click Quick. It's pretty much just a target, break the targets game. The first one is just a single target, and it is 0.15 seconds. So it is a little bit silly to get used to at first. Eventually, you kind of just get the timing down. You can get stuck here for a little while, but it's not too bad. There are ILs of this one that are 0.05 seconds, so literally 2 frames. Yeah, playing the game as dev intended, SMH. Am I even a real speedrunner? There we go. Perfect. So 0.11. Normally, I'm just doing the same kind of motion each time, trying to gauge exactly what I did in the previous one. Again, very, very sensitive, the mouse controls on the Switch 2. You can sort of change them slightly in the settings, but even then, you're still going to struggle on that game. To be honest, the high sensitivity probably helps for Click Quick, because you don't have to move the mouse as much. So next up is a game that is a little bit more skill-based than than luck-based. It's Click Quick 2, because it's 0.8 seconds here. Talking of skill-based. There we go. Normally I'll get around 0.7 each time. So much, much easier to be consistent at the ones where there are multiple targets. So that's our 3 medals once again, and we'll move on to the next games. I should note as well, a lot of these that we're playing so far have 3 or 4 games, but we're not playing them just yet. And the reason for that is, as you can see, there is a medal requirement to unlock each one. So we can't actually play them all straight away. I will go back here to play Guess the Frame Rate. And unfortunately, you can't see higher than 60 FPS on the stream, but I promise there is a difference. MIDI running NG+, what timeline is this? It's a timeline where I create a better category. Yo, Theon, how's it going? So yeah, this is Guess the Frame Rate. Pretty much you start off with very low frame rate versus 120 FPS, and eventually you go to 60 versus 120. But the jeopardy with this game is that you must, to get 3 medals, you must get 6 out of 6. No mistakes. So it is pretty tricky in a speedrun setting. I do have another run, 100 medals, and there is a version which is handheld or no handheld. And the no handheld route restricts you for 12 different medals, which does make it trickier, because obviously you have a lot less to work with. Yeah, the melon is the hardest one to end on, but I'm starting to get used to it now. You kind of watch the top of the melon to see which is correct there. But yeah, because you're so restricted on medals in no handheld, we actually have to play Guess the Frame Rate. And if you fail it once, it is, you know, up to a solid minute time loss if you lose right at the end. So it's pretty rough. So moving on now, we have Guess the Frame Rate 2. And once again, it's going to cut out. That's my capture card. It is fine. I think it's the game changing the frame rate or something. I don't know. So for this one, it's slightly different. It looks kind of funny at the beginning because it's 10 versus 20, but we do pick up. It's now pretty much the same game, but without having a 120 option every time. So that is 20. This one is going to be 30 or 60. That's 30. The next one I think is 40 or 60. That should be 60. And then the last two are 60 versus 120, as we know from the previous version. Ooh, that's unfortunate. So we'll retry that. So yeah, we get 1 medal for 3. If I got a 5, I would probably cut my losses and come back later if I need to clean up, because there is a chance with this route that we get bonus medals if we get lucky / play very well. Yeah, that's 30. Yeah, we'll give it 1 more attempt. If we don't get it again, then we will move on and do some cleanup later. That's 40. It's tricky again. I think it's 120. Okay. Yeah, it's always the same ones that seem to catch you out in this game. And then you got UFO at the end. I think it's 120, but I will just replay it. Yeah. I'm mainly watching for the last section. The last section where it flies off is very obvious if you just watch the center. It's very obvious whether it's 60 or 120. Yeah, just to be 100% sure there. Okay, moving on is another game you can't see what I'm doing. It's 4K Pixel Hunt. Unfortunately, this is in a lot of the runs of this game because it is a very, very fast minigame. But thankfully, it is also, again, very, very fast. So you're not going to have to put up with it for very long. But, basically, what this is if you are on a 4K monitor, then you can select the highest brightness, obviously. So you can actually see what's going on. These pixels are tiny as well. These are very slightly moving around as well, just in case you sort of have issues with your monitor or something. Otherwise, you'd obviously be stuck. Oh, I accidentally clicked in the wrong spot. It's fine. We'll go again. But yeah, as you can see, very, very quick game. And there's the last one. So 20 seconds for 3 medals here. And then in the other one is 15 seconds. There is a slightly similar game later, LCD Pixel Hunt, where we will be using the touchscreen to play. And there are a few touchscreen games in here. We will be playing them, because locking us out of those will make it impossible for me to get 150 medals. I'm going to come around here, and we're going to do Pixel Hunt 2. This is the same thing, but the pixels are going to be moving around the screen, rather than just in one spot, going pretty much like this the whole time. So hopefully this will go well. Hopefully we can get out in one try. 15 seconds here is pretty tricky. There we go. So a lot of the time, on Pixel Hunt 1, the pixels will be spread apart. But as you can see here, they sort of overlap sometimes as well on the floating ones, because they are going to cross paths occasionally. And coming up now is a very, very silly game. This is facial expressions. Yeah, it is one of the silliest games this game... Probably the silliest game this game has, to be honest. We are going to attempt to pull different faces that the game wants us to. It's a very, very slow game. We won't see this in 100 medal runs. But if I just align my face... There we go. So yeah, I will pretty much have to sit in this one spot, and the expressions get sillier and sillier as the game gets on. Yeah, that's not good. I will actually retry that, because eyebrows are the least forgiving. At least, come on, you give me pretty much the same one. Okay, eyebrows were better. The mouth is... Okay, the mouth is way off, but the mouth is a bit more forgiving. So yeah, 16 for that. Like, that's clearly not very good. But yeah, the facial tracking of this game is not good. So we're only aiming for 2 medals here, 400 points. Okay, the mouth is not going to be good here. It also never picks up when you're only puffing up one cheek. So there are a lot of issues with this game. Getting 450 here is pretty tough. Between 5. Okay, so the funny thing with this one is you cannot possibly get the face to do, like, the eyes to be that closed. So I'm going to have to intercept the picture halfway through. So hopefully this goes well. There we go. Pretty decent. I think the angle is probably going to punish me, though. So, to get 400, we are going to need an average of about 80 in each one. It looks like we're on pace for that at the moment. If we pop off at the end, we might squeeze a 450. No, it closed my eye. I think I might have winked. Okay, so that's really punishing. 20 for the angle, though. YouTube in 3 years, trying to see if a person is over 18. Yeah, it's more like now. Okay, that might have saved me. That might have saved me. $91. Okay, that could redeem us. We could be on for 400. I'll take a 400. Nice. Okay, good. We did actually need to do pretty well at the end there. But as you can see, it's a very, very slow game. So we never play that in runs. It's a thing that we kind of started off playing, and then we realised this is way too slow. Anyway, from silly game to silly game, this is now Feel the Shape. We're just going to walk over to it because it's pretty much right here. So what I'm going to do for this one is we're going to have heat maps. And basically, these heat maps took me a long time to make. Each spot on the heat map is a unique place. So if I feel and there is rumble in a specific section, I will know whether that is the shape or it is not the shape. And then on the last one here, I have to try the circle and the heart first because they're massive. And then the rest of them, I can just slowly work my way through and eventually we'll come across the answer. There is one that is not on that final heat map, and that is the rotated square. So if we know that it is not any of the others, then we know it's going to be the rotated square. The next one is even more complicated because there are more than 2 options. The first one, there are 3 options. By the end, there are 12. It is not fun. And I must have spent a good, I would say, 5 hours making these heat maps, probably more. More than I would like to admit. But you know what? It makes this game a lot easier in runs. Because we need 30 seconds for this. And that's not easy. So I'm just going to lock in here. Same principle. That's good RNG there. That's good RNG there as well. And then the last one is split into 3 parts. Okay, so that's 1. That's 2. Alright, nice. So yeah, the last heat maps, because there are so many different letters, there are pretty much no useful unique spots at all. So to start off, we just have a few shapes on the first one, and then if we know it's not those, we can then remove those from the unique heat map spots, and then use number 2, and then the same for number 3. I'm glad we got to show them all off, because, yeah, it's a lot of effort I went to. I mean, you know what? It would also be funny if we just got the 1 in 12 and got the easiest one at the beginning, the first one I looked for. But you just have to be prepared for anything with that game. And I'm glad I got them both first try, because that is pretty tricky. Okay, moving on to normal games again. Colour the shape. This is 5 seconds for a triangle. So, oh, I didn't actually know where the last spot was there. It pretty much wants you to get like 99.9% accurate, maybe even more than that. If you're missing even a tiny square, it won't let you off. So we will take that. That is absolutely fine. But the jeopardy with this game is that you cannot colour outside the lines at all. The game will pick you up on it and you will be disqualified. This one is 10 seconds, and we're actually going to play the 3rd game as well, because we have so many medals at this point. There we go. So this one's a bit trickier, because we have some points to work with. I have a bit of a route to go around it, doing this. Can get that on the end for cleanup. Yeah, the game might have let me off that, but I thought I'm on the way down, might as well pick up that bit on the side first, and then finish off the middle. And then we're going to do colour 3 as well. This is the most technical one. This is the flower one. 25 seconds here for 3 medals. However, I do have an IL of 13XX. So it's possible to go much faster. You know what? We're going to go big. We're gonna go big with this one. We're going to see how fast we can go. I'm aiming for sub 15. Let's do it. So right at the beginning, you can just hold the button down and you will not be punished. Ah, 17. That's all right. It started off with a few patches in the pink flower, so that was pretty tricky. Still decent though. As long as you don't fail, it is all good. And then we have Match the Rumble. This is another one that is rumble based, so I will be holding the controller close to my face. I genuinely do find it easier to work out which one is correct by doing that. But I will also hold it fairly close to the microphone so you can tell what's going on. This is RNG. This is a pair matching game. It's just like any kind of card matching game. You just match pairs. But you need to get it within 9 tries. 9 different pairs to get 3 medals here. So it's pretty rough. Okay, so that's the motorbike. That's golf. That's golf. That's a good start. That's the drill. That's the bike. So we have the drill still. That's the stethoscope. So drill, stethoscope, bell. Drill, stethoscope, bell, ball. Drill, stethoscope, ball. So that's the ball. And unfortunately, we got a bit unlucky. So we're not going to get the 3 medals there. That is absolutely fine. We will take the 2. That just makes the rest of the run harder for me. I'm not going to retry until we get the RNG medal. But that was perfect play. I didn't mess up there at all. It is just unfortunate that you do need to get a little bit lucky there. So next up, Balloon Hunt 2. Balloon Hunt 2. Well, Balloon Hunt 2 is coming up, but first we have Balloon Hunt 1. So the funny thing with this game, and by the way, it's 9 seconds for this first one. There are people who are actually good at, you know, FPS games and shooters who have played this and managed to do very, very well and get really, really optimized ILs. There is someone who did a sub 10-second Balloon Hunt 3, which took me a very long time to get, and I don't think it took him as long, who is an ex-Fortnite player, which is kind of funny that a Fortnite player hops on to do ILs of Welcome Tour. But here we are. So this Balloon Hunt 2 and 3 are both 15 seconds, but this one is actually trickier because of the difficulty of it. Basically, on this one, you need to pop the middle balloon, whereas on the last one, you can pop the golden balloon and it will pop all 3 in a bunch. That's a good start there. So yeah, basically what you want to do is straight lines are your friend on this one. That's really nice. Top 11 in an RTA run is fantastic. It took me ages to get a sub 11 here, so I'm really happy with that. But yeah, basically, you want to just move with the left stick in straight lines. And then you then don't have to do as much mouse movement. It makes it so much easier. I mean, technically speaking, if you're going to really try and optimize the IL, which so far no one has, to try and get, you know, 7 seconds, then that wouldn't be optimal. Alright, so we are, just like that, we are done with Balloon Hunt 3 as well. As you can see, yeah, the golden balloons there, you managed to pop those, and you will also get the 3 red balloons for it. So that is the meta there. So next up is Scrape Off. This is a very tricky minigame. 15 seconds here for 3 medals. If I don't get it, I will just have to go for other medals later. But this is really, really tricky, because it's pretty much just mashing. Mashing motion controls, and it's not fun. The quicker we get through this, the better. Saying that, I think that's an IL PB. 11.88 seconds, nice. I don't think I've had a sub 12. Hopefully we carry that momentum into Scrape Off 2, which is 26 seconds for 3 medals. The 2 medal requirement is a little bit more generous on the next one, though. But it's mainly just very tiring on the arms to mash here. I can actually show you roughly what I'm doing. But it's pretty much just this, just scraping very, very quickly. And it's not overly fun. So the main thing here is there's a very tough handprint in the middle. The rest of the paint splodge is just one part, and that will remove it. So the main thing I'm prioritizing here is the hand. If only I could have carried over the extra seconds I didn't use in the previous one. Oh well, it's fine. 26. That'll do. We'll take our 1 reduced medal. It's not the end of the world. We will just have to back it up later. And now what we're going to do is we are actually going to move over to the touch control section. So this is actually a bit of a slow changeover. Normally I'd have a faster one. But I am sacrificing time in the interest of higher quality. Because otherwise I have to use a second face cam that's already connected, and it's not as high quality as my iPad camera. So we will do it this way instead. So we're going to move that to there. There we go. And we are also going to change the filters on here. And then we can get started with the handheld section. So this is, first off, is Touch 10 1. This is essentially a Twister game. We're going to have to play all of them, though, which is interesting, because the last one is pretty tricky. It could take me a little while, and I have budgeted all 3 medals, so hopefully we can get it. We're going to just switch over to this one. There we go. So the funny thing with this game is you can actually buffer inputs. So every time one of the correct inputs goes through, I will actually put another one of my digits onto the same color. So if the ending is now one of each color, we will win. If it's not, I'm going to have to work a bit harder. Nice. Pretty good. I'm happy with that. That's our first one done. So yeah, unfortunately there's not really an easier way of recording this section. I do have other submissions that are not involving handheld. But this one is 150 medals, so it is just a little bit too reliant on those extra medals. We do kind of need them. And by kind of need, I mean we do need them. There is no other way. So this time, we will be randomizing the placements. So I'm actually going to go for that. It's a bit of an awkward start, and we're already getting a second green, which is not the best. This is going to be tricky if we get another green, I reckon. Oh, I couldn't get around there. Yeah, I had like 3 different fingers in a bad spot. That was pretty much not going to happen. Alright, we'll give it a couple more goes, because this only gives you 2 medals. You do need that last one to get the 3rd medal. Right, so we're going to go for the buffered inputs again. There we go. That's a bit of a better generation this time. Nice. This is a good start. So I'm gonna hold the green at the top just in case green comes up. Okay, I'm gonna go for that. Alright, so now we want a pink. Okay, that's not ideal, but that's fine. There we go. Second try is not too bad. And then we have one more of these. So this one's the trickiest one. This one is, and you might be thinking at this point, how are they exactly going to make this harder? You've had 4 colours in rows. You've had shuffle mode. Now we're going to have to play based on columns. And this one is really tricky, especially if you want to get an optimized IL for the inputs being buffered, which is not what we're going for here, in fairness, but we will obviously try and buffer some inputs at the beginning. This one is very, very tricky. So we are hoping this goes okay. We're going to start off with this one. I don't really want to limit my pinky to the edges right at the beginning, because we will be pretty much guaranteed to get a duplicate in here. And there is no limit to the duplicates you get. Like, you could get 3 of one colour. There's nothing stopping the game from doing that. Although I'm pretty much now banking on getting a red. Come on, the red. No. I can't reach it. I can't reach it with my nose. That's a shame. So, there is a nose strat in this game, but I couldn't reach it. Sadly. Oh. The camera's gone off. That's fine. Right, we'll try again. Let's give it another go. Alright, this time we'll use the pinky straight away. Okay, good start, using both the pinkies. Alright, yeah, that's what you want to see. Because now we're not as limited. Okay, I'm going to go for this, because I don't really... See, I have access to all 3 of these now, so that's fine. This is a much nicer generation so far. And I spoke too soon, apparently. Please don't give me another one of those, because that is not going to be fun. Nice, got it with that part of my finger. Pretty tricky. Yeah, you're pretty much forced into doing that unless you get very lucky. I'm happy with that though. That is a very quick touch 10. Only a couple of retries in there is not bad at all. So the next one is Guess the Angle. And this one's kind of interesting because, I mean, technically you could have another cheat tool for this. It's called a protractor. But we're going to go without because we're actually going to play the game. It's alright. I'm sure we can get through. So what we have to use is the Switch 2's adjustable kickstand for this minigame. Now, there are a few limitations to the kickstand. The lowest angle is around 18 degrees. So if it gives us like 20 degrees, we're going to be, we're going to be in a good position. 25, there we go, perfect. So we're going to go for this, and we're just going to increase it a little bit, and we're hoping that that's going to be roughly correct. So to get 3 medals here, we need to be within 10. And I would like that because we are a medal behind, thanks to the scrape-off minigame not behaving. 35. Alright, so we just got 28, I think. 28, 29, did it say? So we should be able to go for this, roughly. Nice, perfect. So obviously, if you go dead center, then you have 45 degrees. So that can help sometimes. Speaking of, it's as if I just manifested it. There you go, perfect. 45 degrees. So we'll keep it still, and I'm hoping that should be 45, or at least close to it. 48. It's fine. We can afford that because we only need to be within 10. The next one, though, we do need to be within 3. So it is a bit trickier. But that does put us back on track with the medals now. We don't need to be within 3. This one is a lot harder. And then after this game, we have 2 very quick Pixel Hunt games, and then we are done with the touchscreen section. Although, we do have a few demos to play in touchscreen. Just a few of them. But they are very, very quick. So this time, we do not have a diagram to help us, and we can get pretty much any number. They are not always going to be round numbers this time. 24, good start. So again, 18 degrees, and just go a little bit higher. I'm hoping we're going to be fairly close to start off here. 27, okay. So we're pretty much out of the running for that 3-degree one. You can be spot on, but it's fine. As long as we still get that 10. 52. So we're going to go for 45 and then just go a little bit further. I reckon that's fairly close. $55. Okay, we're on pace for the 10 degrees. So it is 10 or lower, so we can afford 4 degrees now. 39, okay. So we're pretty much going the other way this time. So 45 and then just minus a bit. I think that should be okay. Nice, perfect. So we are straight out of there. We are back on pace with the medals. That's why it's kind of nice having an extra medal in Angle 1, because this one can be pretty tricky, but if you can secure that third medal, especially in Angle 1, that can be nice. And obviously if we can get Angle 2 as well, then that's going to put us 2 medals ahead. Okay, so next up is the LCD Pixel Hunt, which is down here. And these are very, very quick. These are even quicker than the 4K ones. And this does kind of highlight how quick the Switch 2 tablet gathers dust. It gathers dust way too quickly. So once again, we'll go for the highest brightness. There we go. That's the first one done, and then the next one is 8 seconds. So this time the pixels will move, as we saw on the 4K Pixel Hunt game. But we're barely going to give them a chance to move, to be honest. And that's it. So, we are now moving on to the demo section of the run. Each demo in this game gives you 1 medal, but because we are after 150, and again, there are 167 total, and I am locked out of 9 of them, so I can't actually get all of them. We're going to go for Dual Rumble first. Dual HD Rumble 2. That's number 7. So, first up, we're going to need to use handheld mode. So I will have to pop to here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the secret goal. So each of these demos has a secret goal, and the easiest thing to do here is to just bounce the wall 10 times and then finish off all the other goals, which are a lot quicker. So you press A and Y to change the ball mode and the environment. We're going to see that a lot in these demos. There's pretty much like an optimal one to start with, and then we go from there. So that is the only one we're going to have to play in handheld. And then VRR slider. So this one, we do have to play undocked again. This is the second to last one, and then we are finished. So what we're going to do is we're going to go there, here, variable frame rate, twist it around. Going to go for this, and then VRR at the last one. And you pretty much just go in order there. As long as you do them in a very specific order, it's very difficult to explain exactly what I'm doing straight away. But the point of the demos is to do different tick boxes to test different things out. But if you know what the text boxes are, the checkboxes are in advance, you can have some very, very quick demos. In fact, that used to be a backup demo for me to do in runs of 100 medals if I didn't have enough enough medals at the end. So here we're going to wait for the autopilot tick box. We're then going to change it there, and we're going to go in one small circle, and then we're going to fly south. And that is it. So at first glance, this is actually a demo that I didn't think was very quick, but thinking about it now, it's actually a really, really good one. And we are now done with the touchscreen section, so we can move back to the console. And we will jump back to here. And the next thing we're going to do is go right to the top. We're going to do maracas. So maracas is kind of funny. It is another mashing motion minigame, or mashing motion demo. So the first thing is to press A and Y to change the maraca to a real shape rather than like a shadow. And then we're going to do a bunch of shakes. We then have to roll around a little bit. And then we have to do 100 shakes. And that's why I didn't stop with the right hand one, because that is the secret goal. So a fairly long demo. Most of them are a little bit shorter than that we do in runs as backups. But it is still there. It's still a medal we need. And we don't technically need all of these demos. It's just kind of funny to show them all off. So this is one of the longer ones. This is HDR Fireworks. So this one is a very, very long game. So it is A/R to set off fireworks. So you want to switch between HDR and SDR. You want to pause as well. There you go. And then that is that checkbox. You just keep mashing the switch button while you're paused. There we go. And then you want to just press fireworks a bunch of times, because eventually you will get a switch to logo firework. Great time for donations, I would say, because this is... there's not a lot going on this one. There you go. And then, complete contrast, this is the Super Mario Bros. 1-1 demo. That's right, another game that has Super Mario Bros. 1-1. This is a 4K demo, so you don't really need 4K to see what's going on, though. So basically, they made Mario, but very small, as in the amount of pixels that original NES Mario would have been. So what we're going to need to do here is we're going to need to play the course a minimum of 2 times. And that's why this demo is very slow. So the first one, we are going to need to grab the 1-up, which is the bonus. There it is. Do not fall in the pit. I mean, technically now I've already done the 1-up, so that gets one thing out of the way. Listen, it was intended. What can I say? It's very tricky to play 1-1 where you can't see what's going on. But we do need to complete the course as Fire Mario, and we also need to... Oh, there we go. Yeah, we need to complete the course as Fire Mario, and we also need to explore all the areas. So that means going in the underground section. Yeah, finally I'm speedrunning Mario. I have run Mario. I did like one warpless run. It took me ages to get a warpless run that didn't die. I did it offline, technically. So yeah, the entirety of 1-1 fits into a 4K screen, even with the border in the outside. And because we need to enter the pipe and then also complete the course, we need to do this once again. So this one's kind of funny because you end up warping and then it just kind of zips you to the end. And then that's it. See, it's a very slow demo, but it is a funny demo. It's the one you want to show off. So next is noise reduction. And this is a really, really quick one. This is the best backup demo in the game as far as I'm aware. I've roughly timed each one, and this one is, in my opinion, the best one. So what you need to do is you need to record, and then you need to play it back, and that's it. But there's nothing stopping you from just ending the recording early and also ending the playback early. So it's really, really quick. Next is HD Rumble 2 Sound. This is literally just a mashing minigame, so it's a good time for donations. I will hold the controller next to the microphone so you can hear what's going on. It pretty much is, the HD Rumble is emitting sound, which is pretty cool. Or it sounds like it's emitting sound. And that is it. So next is Super Resolution. This one does have a little bit of a skip, if you know how it works. You wouldn't expect there to be skips in these games, but there is one. Or at least a way of playing it efficiently. So you have to change a bunch of settings. The first thing we're going to do is change it to comparing images side by side and then instantly changing back again. And the reason for that is you need to be 5 seconds with the mouse, with the little comparison changed from the center, this slider. So once it's been 5 seconds, the UFO will then appear. And that is the only way. It took me a long time to work out exactly how the UFO appears in that minigame. So next one is the saw. This one is really quick. Again, another one that I only really worked out when doing the all demos route for this run. Essentially, there is one that is really, really slow on paper. You have to saw it slowly. However, there's nothing stopping you from just slowing down at the end. So you can just go really fast, and then the last saw you do, you go really slow, and that gets the slow box. And suddenly, this is a really, really quick demo. This one in my head was like a minute. It's a lot quicker than that. And the next one is Dual Mouse Water Scoop. This one does have a little skip as well. Basically, you're supposed to use these 2 scoops to move the water in these 3 different stages. Twist the cogs, and then that will light up the light bulb. But the moment the water hits the cog, you can actually just use the cogs themselves to spin the wheel, which is kind of funny. So that's probably full as well. And then that's full. That was actually a very, very quick demo. So next is Echo Generator. This is not normally one I would play in a run. But once again, we might as well go for them all while we're here. So it's kind of funny because I'm going to need to talk into the microphone and I'm going to need to keep on talking and talking and talking for about 5 seconds. And I now have to listen to it back. I'm going to need to talk into the microphone and I'm going to need to keep on talking and talking and talking for about 5 seconds. There you go. So there's this one. I don't think that's going to count. That will. Oh. There you go. I don't know why it didn't count the first time. But yeah, it's a funny demo because it just takes ages for the inputs to go through with the microphone. And then we have HD Rumble 2 Maker. And then the last one is the motorbike, which you would think would be kind of like an IL, but it actually is kind of limited, unfortunately. So this one is a little bit more based on how well you can do this at the beginning. So we are aiming for 60. You do need exactly 60 for 1 second, exactly 200 for 1 second, and exactly 400 for 1 second. There we go. That's a very quick one if you're quick at doing the very, very precise mouse inputs you need. And then the last demo we have is motorbike, and then we're back to regularly scheduled mini games. So this, you have to have a... See, you're saying this isn't a Wii Series game, but I have to hold it... I have to hold the controllers like this. This is power cruising. This is power cruising. There we go. So if I twist the controller... So we do actually want to go slowly at the beginning for 10 seconds. There we go. And then you want to also press SR very quickly just to brake. Quickly accelerate 3 times. There's that. And then we want to reach maximum speed. So you just hold it. And that was actually pretty good. Managed to do the others while we were accelerating a little bit. So that wasn't too bad. And then that is the end of our demo section. And then we do actually now have an IL for driving. We now have stunt driving. Tech demo is completed. Yes, we did it. So, first up is stunt driving. We're going to skip open the GLGR locks because that is the Pro Controller locked minigame. You cannot play that one. It's a quick one if you get to it. In 100 medals runs, you actually don't want to. It's more optimal to play a route that does not unlock that area, which is kind of funny. Like, at first glance, this game is pay to win, but you don't want to get the GLGR controller because it's technically the inferior route. But don't tell the GLGR runners I said that. In fairness, it is a safer route, and if I did have GLGR, I would have absolutely went with that route without question. So here, this minigame is basically reliant on you lifting the controller off the ground, in a way. You get these boost pads if you lift yourself up in the air. You don't actually want all of them, interestingly enough. And 40 seconds gets us 3 medals. And the next one we need sub 39.5. Which is kind of tricky because there are more boosts, but there are a lot more obstacles to hit. And interestingly enough, the meta on these on this game is actually not to hit all the boosts. You want to hit very specific boosts, but not all of them. Which is very odd. You would just expect they would all give you the same amount of boost, but they don't. So there is one speed trick here, and that is pretty much to minimize your sideways movements. So the sideways movements actually really kill your speed. So what you want to do is instead, you want to do your sideways movements as soon as you land from being in the air. And that will prevent the loss of speed. So we'll go for a bit of a safer route there. It is still possible to get 39.5, although it's a lot trickier now. I did just hit the dirt for a second there. Should be good though, 38. Nice. Yeah, there's a lot more boosts to work with. It's a much more interesting track, the second one. And then talking of very quick ILs, here's Breaststroke. This is 7 seconds, and this one, you either love this game or you hate it. I was originally a hater, and for some reason now the game just works. Sometimes it doesn't, and you will see why. Basically, you want to use both mice to go in this kind of motion, but it doesn't really work. So eventually, and by eventually I mean within about a second, it kind of desyncs and you have to compensate for it. But we'll see how this goes. So there's our desync. We are trying to counterbalance that. 6.23. That's pretty good. I think that's an ILPB. Very nice. So, the last mini-game before we do our revisits is Slot in the Shapes 1. This is actually a game that I have done a lot of ILs for. Managed to get a just shy of sub 4 seconds in 4 shapes, which is very tricky because you always get different angles, so it is always going to be impromptu. But it is 10 for 3 medals, so thankfully we're not going to have a problem there. Nice. Sub 8. Pretty nice. And then the next one, we have double the shapes. So we start off with 4, but there will be more as we go. And so there is 20 seconds for that one instead of 10. Although I do have a sub 10 here. It did take me a lot longer to break that barrier, but it is possible. So we're gonna try and go fairly quickly here again, see if we can get a decent IL. Let's see what we can do. So the funny thing with this one is the shapes can actually line up into good spots again, if you get lucky with where they end up. Nice, good recovery. We were not on pace at the beginning. A lot of awkward twists and movements we had to do there. Okay, and now we have our revisits. So we're going to go back to the previous games. These are much harder versions of the games we've already seen. So Spikeballs 3 and 4 are actually going to require us to use both mice at the same time. And we're going to need to get 30. So this is an optimization just to get to the top of the menus. So we go to a menu that has a lot less to work with. So, for example, the demos. And then we will then cut back to the minigame menu, and then suddenly we are in Area A again. So if either of the UFOs dies here, that will be the end of the game. And we need to get 30 here. Oh, accidentally moved the left one a bit too much. Let's get into a good position for this. So a lot of people like to group them together. I personally like to live a little bit on the edge and try and go for an optimal IL, because that's more interesting, right? Nice. Oh, the Fabled 31. The Fabled 31 in a speedrun. So that is Twin UFOs, the regular one, and now we have Nightmare Mode. So this is pretty much the same thing. We would never normally see this in a speedrun because you unlock this at 99 medals. So 100 medal speedruns are never going to implement this. Even though it's my favourite, probably my favourite game in the whole collection, to be honest. It's an interesting one to IL, definitely. But this is Nightmare Mode. We'll see how this goes. It's 30 again. It is pretty much the same, but right from the get-go, the spike balls are going quickly. And big spike balls at that. That's 1 medal. That's not what we want. We want 3 medals. We need 3 medals. Preferably at least 2. But we want 3. Ooh, okay, you know what? Let's stick together a little bit more. I say that. We're going to branch off instantly. I can't resist. Oh, no. No, we're going again. This is my favourite minigame. We gotta stick with this until we get the 3. So my ILPB here, believe it or not, is 155. And that is because if you play for long enough, as in over a minute long, probably more than that, you actually get a break section in the middle. Same with the... I'm surprised that I was so focused on the left ones living there. You actually get a break section in the middle. Nice. Yeah, the break section gives you a bunch of stars. So that's the part you want to get to. Currently, I'm the only one with an IL that gets there in Spikeballs 4. Come on, I can't move them fast enough. Ah. Alright, come on. So yeah, same as before, we are getting angled balls. And the problem with this game is you can't layer the UFOs on top of each other. Some people have sort of theorized that you can layer the UFOs on top of each other. That's a good section. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work because the problem with that... Hang on. No! I knew it was good pace. The problem with layering UFOs on top of each other, so say for example you just put both mice to the corner and then you move them together, it does work in a way, but the UFOs just kind of break apart. So I can kind of show you here. So I can put them together, but they will eventually break apart, and so it doesn't really work as a strategy. Anyone with a decent like world record IL has not done this. That's a good section. Come on, I wanted that extra star. So the thing is, you might think I'm playing risky here, but in reality, if I don't play risky, the game doesn't scale in difficulty based on how many stars you have. It scales based on how long you've been playing. So you can't just sit here waiting for the star rain section, because it's just not going to give you... It will give you the star rain section, but you will still be on a low score getting into it. And getting into the star rain section is something that I have done once, so it will probably not be happening. But we are finally out of that minigame, and we are going to move on to Rumble 3. This is a really, really tough one. I will probably give this one attempt, and if I don't get it, I will just quit with 0 medals, because I am 1 medal ahead. I am only budgeting for 1 medal here, so we're just going to hope that this goes okay. But as I was saying earlier, we're going to use the circle tool, but it is tricky because you cannot work out exactly where it is. You kind of have to work backwards for where it is. So, for example, this feels like a fairly strong rumble. I would kind of go around other places as well, but it feels like that one in the corner is the strongest. So we will go to there, and then we'll try and work backwards. But the problem is, the overlapping, like the false positive circles will overlap sometimes with the correct one. So all I can do is try and find a dead zone. So this is a dead zone. So most of the time, this will not be part of the circle now. So I can at least go for this, and then we at least have something to work with. But what you can really do is just take a bit of an educated guess, really. Unfortunately, I only have 2 sides to work with, so I really don't have a lot to use here. This is a dead zone, though, so I can go slightly higher. Nice, that's a medal. I'll take that. 1 medal first try is absolutely no joke on that minigame. I've had a few runs that have died to Rumble 3. One of my world records when it was first starting, before it was getting optimized properly. Don't go back in. Yeah, if you only get 1 medal, it says want to give it another try. So I need to dismiss that. But yeah, before this game was getting really optimized, I did actually have Rumble 3 in there, and it was pretty tricky. Because I think I lost 2 or 3 minutes in that world record just to Rumble 3. It was a very, very good run, but it was just Rumble 3 that cost me time. So this last one, this next one is 3 seconds. Very, very tricky. Wow, first try, nice. That used to take me ages in full game runs. First try, 3 seconds is very nice to see. And then that does mean on Maze 4 that we are not under pressure to get a tricky one. This is 0.5 seconds here. Now, in other games earlier that have cycles, so say for example, Click Quick, which we're about to see in a minute, Click Quick 3 has rotating targets. Every time you restart, they will change back to the original formation. In this game, that does not happen. So you can't really do consistent ILs here, apart from the first attempt. So that was a pretty good first attempt, but it's 0.5 seconds for 3 medals, which is very tough. But if you get very, very lucky with how the cycles align, you can actually get a 0.05 second IL. So we're coming up to the home stretch now. We are coming up to Speed Golf 3. This is a very tricky one. The minimum shots here is 3, even for an IL. And so because of that, it is 7.5 seconds we are allowed for a 3 medal. And once again, I've remapped my buttons. I have a second plus button on my left Joy-Con. So if I fail, I can take a quick restart. That's not going to work. Almost. Wow. Yeah, so I kind of knew that it wasn't going to work at first. You can realign a little bit if you take a little bit of time, but it's not... Yeah, that was going to be too slow for 3 medals. Yeah, you're going to have a lot less to work with if you go for it there. See, there you go. Very good lineup. Took a little bit more time. Managed to get through. That might be another IL PB. I've been struggling to get low 5s on that minigame. And there is also another corner cut you can do after the first shot, but it is very, very tricky. And then the last one here is 3.5 seconds, but there is a 1 shot here. So we're hopefully going to get it. There is a, like, 1% chance that I get the funny collision, just a random funny collision on one of these holes, or one of these pitfalls, I guess. And then we can try and back it up, but chances are that's not going to happen. Saying that, no. Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't have a good angle to get into the hole from there. Yeah, the chance of actually having a good angle from it is very unlikely. Almost. Oh, got a little bit of a slowdown, but nothing much other than that. And again, just grazing the hole. So I would estimate that my rebinds probably save me about 1 to 2 seconds on every restart, because most of these I'm not going to catch before they fall in the hole if I press plus. If I try and reach for plus, I'm not going to reach it, and so I'm going to have to keep pressing too bad each time. I'll try again, rather than the quick restart. Yeah, unfortunately, there's not really going to be a 2-shot here, realistically, so I have to go for this. No. I can go for the 2-shot, but it is going to be a lot harder. Yeah, you have to get in a very, very precise spot. Nope. Alright, we are actually a medal ahead, I believe, so we can just go for this. Okay, we didn't even get 2 medals. That is kind of funny. It did take me 5 shots. Alright, come on, one more. One more at the big one. No. Alright, we'll go back to the top again. And this game does have a bad habit of poor calibration. There we go. But we are still making it through there. There we go. And we are still on pace because we're rewarded for doing well at the beginning. So we have 3 more mini games to go. Click Quick 3. Click Quick 4, and then we are ending with the best one. We're ending with Colour the Shape Snake. That's a fan favourite. So, rotating targets, we need to get this within 1 second for 4 targets. That's not what I wanted. Nice. 3rd try. That's pretty good. And then the final, Click Quick, is actually random targets. But these are kind of only slightly random. So at the beginning, if you get a target that's close to you or far away, it will slightly dictate how far away the rest of them are. So by the end of the game, you're going to have roughly the same amount of distance each time. Otherwise, it would be a bit unfair. You know, you could just get 5 very close together targets if you got very lucky. So this one, for example, the last target is going to be very far away, or at least one of them will be very far away. And then conversely there, that one was actually close together. So you can kind of preempt where the last target is going to be based on how the rest of it goes, which is nice. It's an actual well-designed random game. We like that kind of random, not the guess the shape random. That's not good random. That's just RNG, whether you get it or not, even with perfect play. We don't like that. You okay? And thank you for the good luck. We are coming towards the end now. We just have Snake to go. So this is sub 8 seconds. Nice. And the time's coming up when 150 comes up. Yeah, my strat is just to get the right-hand side, clean up if I need, and then do the rest of it on the left. So when 150 medals comes up in the top left, that is time. Looking like it's going to be a sub 121. Yes! There it is. Pretty good. 100 medals is about an hour, pushing 50 minutes. And that is obviously with a bunch of the stamp collecting in here as well. The main point of this category is to remove all of that and add in a bunch of mini games, and that is for the cost of, you know, an extra 20 minutes or so, which is not too bad. But yeah, that is the run. Pretty nice, honestly. A couple of mini games that took me a few minutes, but otherwise not too bad, considering this is essentially all the mini games this game has to offer other than GLGR locks, which is pretty much just putting in a bunch of different specific buttons and then releasing them in the specific order again. And that's about it. So, in a way, not having access to that does make this run a lot harder. If I had access to those, then I would be able to remove a lot of the super secret 3rd medals. So, this does force me to play well. But, thank you for the GGs, everyone. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching.